Welcome.
to Dark Narratives. I'm Isabella.
And I'm Alexandria. You were trying to tell me about the Real Housewives.
Do you watch reality TV like that? Any of the Housewives?
I used to back in the day. I don't know, because they've been around, I don't know, since when? 2008, probably
Oh,
sooner.
yeah, definitely. There's a lot. I'm watching the Salt Lake City one, and these ladies are fucking ruthless. One of them went to prison.
For what?
Conspiracy to money or wire fraud or something.
Oh,
And she made money off of
so
older people, really vulnerable people.
basically, she said that she was gonna wire, or she had some funds that that were gonna be wired transferred to her, and then her.
It is so complicated. I can't even
Okay.
begin to explain it. There's so many people involved in this whole thing that pled guilty, and then she took it all the way to the end and then walked in the courtroom and pled guilty.
Why
But
would you even come onto a show like that when you know your dirty laundry is most likely going to be aired?
that is exactly what the other housewives were wondering. They're like, why would
No.
you ever do that? That doesn't make any sense. And literally how she got arrested was they were all got onto this bus, this Sprinter van, to go on a trip together. And then all of a sudden the NYPD showed up, Homeland Security starts coming onto this bus and trying to find this girl. And their friends are like, is this a prank? Is this for real?
Yeah, it sounds scripted almost.
Yeah. No, it's because they were finally coming to arrest her.
And how old are these women? Because I remember back in the day, I don't know, they were in their 40s-ish.
These ones are in their 40s, 30s. But there's actually something else. So I was just finished the C4 yesterday, and
Is this
thinker
a
of
spoiler alert?
okay, yeah, spoiler alert. If you haven't watched Housewives of Salt Lake City, they went through this whole season with this new housewife. And then at the very end, they find out that she's actually partly behind this Instagram to trash all of these chicks.
What?
Yes. And they out her
Oh
at
my
a dinner
God.
together.
What the hell? So she made a fake
So she
Instagram.
what they're accusing her of is she infiltrated this friend group. She was actually an assistant for a little bit of the woman who went to prison. She was helpful in putting that chick away.
Oh, okay. So it was like a sting operation.
Kind of, I guess. And then yeah, she made it her mission to become friends with these chicks, and then she ended up auditioning to be a host. And then
Real
she
life.
gets the job. And she spends the entire season being their friend and causing so much drama. She's very combative. And I was always thinking, like, why is she always trying to stir shit up everywhere she goes? All of them do, but she did it especially. And then, yeah, they all sit down and they're like, we know who you are.
Uh-oh.
I didn't expect these Salt Lake City chicks. And they're all ex-Mormon for the most part. The one chick
That's
wrote a book
cute.
of Bad Mormon.
Really?
Yeah. But these chicks they play really dirty.
Oh, I don't like that.
No, it's not nice. It's just
They're
for
not girls.
they pretend they are. They talk about each other. They try to like destroy each other's businesses, but then say they don't.
What?
It's actually good. I've never seen housewives tear each other down so bad.
It's got to be partly scripted, or no, you don't think so?
They're so erratic that I don't think so.
Would you ever consider being on a Real Housewives?
Never.
No, you don't want to be aired.
I don't think,
Dirty
no, I
one.
just don't think that I could vibe with a bunch of girls like that.
Oh, yeah, I guess it takes a certain type.
Well, yeah, and also you have to hang out all the time. You have to be so committed to
Although, are they hanging
hanging,
out all the time though, or are they just taking
like
the
when it's filmed.
highlights? Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder how much they get paid.
I don't know what these ladies get paid, but somewhere a housewife was like 600,000 an episode or something.
I guess it probably depends how much drama you cause, because obviously the more drama, the more viewers, and then the more
Yeah,
you would get.
exactly. You should almost start watching some just for entertainment because it's hilarious. It is crazy. And I will like put it on and I'll get so invested and Dylan just laughs.
It would be a good palate cleanser for what I normally do.
Well, exactly. That's why I've been loving it. Oh my gosh. Now I want you to watch them all so we can talk about.
Definitely, I have no segue.
That's okay. We should get started. I'm guessing this story is not as funny as watching The Housewives.
No. And you do not want to be friends with this chick. Okay. All right. So are you ready? Because this is a fucked up case.
Yes.
Early on a cold morning in the city of Green Bay, Wisconsin, between the hours of 2:30 a.m. and 3 a.m. on February 23rd, 2022, 49-year-old Tara was suddenly startled awake by a loud banging noise. Assuming it was the storm doors smashing around in her basement, where her 24-year-old son was staying the night, she decided to get out of bed and investigate. As she headed down to the basement, she heard a vehicle start up and drive away. However, she noticed a light was still on in the basement, and so things started to feel a bit off to her. I guess she hadn't seen her son in a couple days. He didn't actually live with her, but he would come over and visit, and
He just like
sometimes
would
stay the night.
crash there.
Yeah, and well,
Every
he's
once in a while.
24 too, right? So
Yeah.
he's an adult. She didn't have to have tabs on him.
Right.
He'd come over and visit and sometimes stay the night. The last she'd seen him was with a friend who had came over a couple nights before, and she kind of felt the need to go check on him. As Tara descended into the basement, it was eerily quiet. No sign of her son. At first, she thought the vehicle she heard taking off was her son leaving with friend. So she's thinking, oh, they just left the light on. I'm assuming they'll be back later on in the day. Until
Her son and this girl.
yeah, it is a girl. I didn't say that yet, but it is a girl.
Okay.
But it was just a friend.
Okay.
Okay. She's thinking that, yeah, her son and this girl that he's hanging out with had left and they'll be back later, as they do, until she turned to head back upstairs, go back to bed, thinking whatever, when something out of place caught her eye. A large, dark colored bucket at the foot of the stairs. And this was a big bucket with a
Like for like storage, like basement storage or whatever.
like at a construction site.
Oh, like a Home Depot bucket or something?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
A big bucket like that with a multicolored striped beach towel draped over it, covering the opening of the bucket. So she got a feeling to look and see what it was all about. But when she looked inside, what she saw was something no one ever should have to see, let alone a mother.
Oh was it his head?
There at the bottom of the bucket was her son, Shad Thyrion's decapitated head.
Oh my stomach.
His mom, like in her house, her son's head.
This woman, oh my God.
Tara becomes hysterical, obviously.
I don't even know how you could breathe again.
Right? I think I was hallucinating, probably.
Like, you must be fucking going crazy. This can't be real.
Yeah, just totally disassociate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tara becomes hysterical and wakes her boyfriend, Steve. He immediately calls 911. On the phone with 911, Steve tells the operator that his girlfriend just found her decapitated head in a bucket. The operator asks him if her son was missing, and Steve says, quote, "No, he was here yesterday with some chick, and now all of a sudden nobody is here."
And a car just took off from their what the?
Yeah, and the operator is asking him, well, can you see in the bucket? Are you sure it's a head? Is there something in the bucket? And Tara is flipping out, like we were saying, kind of disassociating, maybe saying she was hallucinating. And so the operator was asking Steve to confirm. And then on the phone, Steve says, quote, "There's something in the goddamn bucket, man."
Oh my God. Well, and also a mom is not going to immediately go to my child's head is in a bucket. Like, if she's seen it, she fucking sees it.
Yeah, no, she knows that's my son. That's his head. So who is Shad Thyrion? Born on September 7th, 1997, in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Shad had two sisters and one brother, as well as a large extended family who he loved spending time with. Family was very important to him. In 2015, at the age of 18, Shad finished high school and began working with his dad and grandpa. His family said that he enjoyed camping and had a knack for wood carving.
What does
He
dad
was
and grandpa do?
I don't know what they did, but he worked for them.
Okay.
That's all I found. I didn't really dig into that. He was also passionate about his music. However, around this time, he kind of started going down a dark path and making some bad choices. He started getting into trouble with the law a couple
As we
times.
do.
Yeah, he got a tattoo of a he got a tattoo of a large question mark on his temple.
Oh no.
Photo. So kind of hanging out with the quote wrong
That's a
crowd, I
commitment.
guess you'd say. Yes, it's quite a commitment. Regardless of these questionable decisions, he was still functioning well and didn't show any signs of struggling with mental health. He was just a young man adjusting into adulthood, like you said, as we do,
Mhm.
make some stupid choices and hang
Nobody's
out with some
making all the
questionable.
best choices at 18.
Yeah, you're adjusting into adulthood and figuring out who you are. And that's kind of
Yeah.
how his family felt. Because, yeah, he really
Mm.
wasn't a troublemaker, never was. In February of 2022, Shad was living with his dad, Michael. However, he began visiting his mom quite often. She said he would swing by for meals, do some laundry, and sometimes stay over in the basement. On the night of February 22nd, 2022, Tara knew Shad was hanging out in her basement with his friend Taylor. However, she hadn't actually physically seen him for a couple of days. Shad's friend Taylor picked him up in her minivan around 9:30 p.m. on the 22nd, and the pair went out for the evening. Then returned later that night, and Tara's boyfriend Steve let the two of them in, and they headed down into the basement. Okay, so like I was
Around,
saying,
sorry, 2 a.m.?
no, just the two showed up later on.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so like I was saying, he didn't live with Tara and Steve. He just would stay there once in a while.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he brought his friend over. The next morning, on the 22nd, Steve had encountered Taylor a couple times. One time, she asked for a pair of reading glasses. Later that evening, Tara noticed that Taylor's minivan was still parked out front as they got ready for bed. Which brings us back to the 911 call placed around 3 a.m. on the morning of February 23rd.
Is she just fucking out down there?
Kind of.
Like by
Okay,
herself,
so,
it sounds like.
right? Okay, police were dispatched to the house, arriving at 3:25 a.m. And what they walked into was straight out of a horror movie. Two officers entered the home. One stayed upstairs to talk to Tara and Steve, and the other went down into the basement to investigate. And to their, I don't know if I should say fucking horror, but to their horror, they confirmed that there was indeed a severed head in the bucket, as well as a pair of knives and a penis
What?
in the bucket with the head. Officer Alex Wanish testified, quote, I went downstairs. At the bottom of the stairs to the right, there was a green bucket with a shower towel on top of it. Just to verify that it was an actual head in the bucket, we lifted the towel off, and there was, in fact, a human head severed in the bucket. That's a quote from one of the officers that went there. They also noticed blood on a nearby mattress, more blood on the floor around that looked like it was attempted to be cleaned up, but not a ton of blood. They just kind of noticed blood here and there.
Yeah,
They
like it didn't look like a bloody crime scene. It was just
no, it was just
what the
kind of there was like
hell?
dried up blood. The more they looked, the more they found. You know those pictures you see on the internet where the longer you look, the more fucked up things get.
Oh yes.
You see those?
Yeah.
Where it's like a cafe and then you keep looking and then the bartender has tentacles for arms or something.
Yeah.
The longer they were in that basement, they started looking around. It just kept getting more fucked up.
That is so fucked up because you'd think a head in a bucket, that's a lot of blood.
Yes. And
So
there
where
wasn't
is this crime scene?
exactly
Oh my
what is going
God.
on. They found a bread knife but it had been worn down so much, and we're all familiar with what a bread knife looks like, right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
long, it's got the long, and it's got this kind of, teeth on it that look like, I wouldn't know,
Yeah.
like alligator teeth or something.
Yeah.
They found one of those, but the pointy parts of the blade weren't even there. It was completely dull. So it was just
What?
completely worn down, yeah, and covered in blood.
Oh. Sorry, that knife was in the bucket?
No, they just found it in the basement. I'm
Oh,
just going through stuff that they found. You know how I said
right. Yeah.
they started looking around and found more stuff. They found a Jimmy Choo bag that contained multiple knives that were bent and dull, one with the tip that had been broken off.
This doesn't
They
sound very thought through. It feels like whoever did this had no idea how hard bone is.
they're chaotic. Yeah. They
Because
found more
you'd cut
bags.
through bone in your neck,
Can you imagine? And I'm not saying
right?
that she's used or anybody used a bread knife, but can you imagine trying to use a bread knife to cut a head off?
Just trying anything you can and be like, oh, that doesn't work, throw it behind you. That didn't work, throws the next one.
Today I pulled out a gluten-free hot dog bun from my freezer and I pulled a bread knife out and,
Yeah.
and I tried to cut even through it was a kind of a frozen bun and I could barely cut through that.
Right. So imagine that's honestly what I envision is this person sweating trying to get through and each knife is just breaking and or keep just throwing them behind them.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Ooh.
bent doll, yeah, like next. They found more bags and boxes containing other body parts and several internal organs.
Oh my God. Just around the place?
Yeah, in the basement. They're looking around. This is inventory that they're taking. One tote bag contained the upper part of a torso. Officers said that there were just chunks of different body parts thrown into random bags and backpacks. What
What
was
the hell?
And what we talked about earlier, what was baffling officers was the lack of blood at the scene.
Well, exactly. With this crime scene, even just with the initial, oh my God, there's a head in the bucket, like, you'd think that as soon as you go down there to check on something, that you'd be slipping in blood everywhere.
Yeah, there'd be blood on door handles and anything, really.
Yeah.
There was some blood there, but for the amount of hacked up body parts and how gruesome the scene was, they were shocked. Along with all the body parts, they uncovered a glass meth pipe and a bag of white powder.
All right.
So, yeah. So what happened here?
Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck happened here? And who committed such a horrendous crime? Shad didn't have any enemies. He was just hanging out with his friend Taylor.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, he's just, you know, from all accounts, a pretty good kid.
Right.
But yeah, he was hanging out with his friend Taylor Coronado, or better known as Taylor Schabusiness.
Okay. Is this like a
Age
name given? What the fuck?
a 25-year-old wife and mother.
Excuse me?
Mhm.
And I say this because I really feel like she had something to do with this.
I mean, she was the last person with him.
Well, exactly.
She had met Shad in grade school, and they had an on again, off again sexual relationship, even while she was married.
Kate.
Born in Chicago on November 23rd, 1997, Taylor lived with her parents until they moved to Wisconsin while she was in the fourth grade, and this is when she met Shad. So later on in their teens, they dated for a couple of years. So they actually knew each other for a long time.
Okay.
Around the time Taylor's family moved to Wisconsin, she started exhibiting behavioral problems and struggling with her mental health just as a young child,
I was gonna say
which is
that's
sad.
quite young. That's really sad.
Yeah, because how old are you? I are in grade 4. Because
I
my
don't
son's
know.
in grade 2 and he'll be 8 soon. So you're 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, around there, 9, 10. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
really sad. I can't imagine
Yeah.
that.
That's
I
a
can't
really
imagine
hard
my
time too, in
Yeah, and it
general.
carried through her teen years. She experienced a major traumatic event when her mother died from
Oh.
cirrhosis and alcoholism. Her
Mm.
mom was 41 and Taylor was
Holy
still quite
shit.
young. Yeah, and I think Taylor was, I think, around 9 or 10 when that happened to her mom.
Oh my God. At
I can't
41?
And you can get cirrhosis and not be a drinker. I know that, but they did say cirrhosis and alcoholism
Right.
at 41, been around the time they just moved to Wisconsin there.
Yeah.
Her father remarried soon after that to a woman who already had 3 children. And I guess this new wife didn't like Taylor and her brother. Taylor had a brother as well. We don't know much about him. It doesn't matter to talk about him. They never got along. Reportedly, this new wife of her that her dad married forced Taylor and her brother to live in the basement and kind of just get out of the way.
You know, what the fuck? These kids just lost their mother.
Mm-hmm.
They
And he married
probably didn't.
right after.
This is just terrible. And I don't even want to know what the kids dealt with at home with their parent, with their mom. Ugh.
And who knows what, and their dad, he is a piece of work too. I'll get to him.
I just wish I could just hold all these little babies who don't have comfortable
You just
homes.
wonder, I know, you just wonder if they just had a different situation, just if this shit would
Yeah.
happen. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Kind of that debate with nurture or nature,
Yeah.
where, yeah, I don't know,
Mhm.
because I feel like too, there's some people that are definitely born fucked up, but then it's
I
like,
know, it's such a hard argument.
but if they were placed in the correct home, the correct environment, the right people to care for them, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it
No,
wouldn't
I
go
know.
so.
Yeah, or if like they were born in a different time where the issues that they might have had could actually be recognized.
Yeah. But she was born in 1997, so.
Yeah, I mean others, not this.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
in the 70s, like those.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so at age 11, she got out of there and lived with her grandparents in Texas. By this time, she was in 7th grade and was receiving mental health treatment for depression and ADHD, which is so young to be already receiving mental health treatment for
I
depression.
know that makes me really sad.
I know, I feel bad for her.
And I just have a
As
feeling she doesn't have comfort in her life. We've said it before. Our favorite things is watching my oldest completely lounging out,
Oh,
just
yeah,
completely relaxed in her home.
right.
And you
And
just want to
just
comfort them.
having that feeling of wholeness because
You
you've
just know
provided
your
that for
baby
them.
knows they're safe. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Oh, it's so sad. At age 14, she was sent to a psychiatric unit for depression and
Oh, fuck.
hallucination. Yeah, at 14.
That's
Um,
terrible.
ultimately being diagnosed with bipolar 1 and severe depression with psychosis and subscribed a antipsychosis. This is kind of Taylor's background. By 2017, at the age of 20, Taylor's father's new marriage had fallen apart. Her father was charged with domestic abuse and second-degree sexual assault of a child in his care.
Excuse me?
Yes, we know that her mother was an alcoholic, but who fucking knows what her dad did to her?
Well, and that's 100%. The child has depression at 7.
Yeah.
I wonder what's
And
going on.
so, yeah, so there was no reports of him abusing his biological kids, but
Mhm.
he certainly abused his stepchildren, which is fucking gross.
And also, his new wife treated his biological kids like shit, and he stayed and let her leave.
Yeah. It all around sounds like a horror show.
Yeah.
He received 12 years in prison, by the way, for that
Okay.
in 2017. So he'll be out in 4 years for abusing
Well, those
babies.
kids have a life sentence, so.
Yeah, gross. However, she had no reported troubles with the law or drugs until she met her husband, Warren Chabot, who went by the last name Schabusiness.
Jesus Christ.
Which, as you guessed it, something he just made up.
Yeah. And then she's like, that's sick.
Yeah. Yes.
I want that. I'm hard as fuck.
I'm a Schabusiness too.
Like,
So she changed her name to Schabusiness when
are
she
you
married
fucking
him.
kidding me? Oh my God.
Yeah, she legally, this piece of shit. Or I shouldn't say that yet because we don't know.
She
She
is fucking so sick.
Yeah.
You don't want to fuck with her.
She changed her name to Schabusiness when she married him February of 2020. Hey, it's February. Oh, that's weird how I
Oh
picked.
yeah.
Oh, and
The year.
this all went down in February of 2022. Oh
Oh, that's
shit.
so
That's creepy.
that is really weird.
That is weird. Anyway, she changed her name to Schabusiness when she married in February of 2020 at the age of 23. That year, Taylor was arrested for battery or threat to a law enforcement officer and resisting or obstructing an officer. She got 3 years probation for that and a psych evaluation.
Okay.
Later that
She's
year,
had
she was
plenty.
yeah, so like I said, she's as soon as she met Mr. Shabusiness there, she kind of started getting involved in some shady shit.
Right.
Because later that year, she was also charged with bail jumping, possession of drug paraphernalia, resisting an officer again, and for fleeing a vehicle. So this bitch is wild, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, okay.
Guys,
There's
some water.
no chill with her.
In 2021, she had a son with Warren, and a year after that, she was sentenced for her earlier charges to 3 months in jail and 2 years of probation. However, her jail sentence was reduced to house arrest with a GPS monitor, so she got an ankle bracelet.
And this bitch has got a little baby.
Yep. During this time that she has this little baby, her husband and her baby daddy went to jail so her husband, who is her baby daddy, went to jail for possession with intent to deliver meth. So these
Nice.
guys are the parents of the year.
Oh, that just makes me so mad. I'm just so tired of shitty frickin' people with these
I
tiny
know.
little babies at home.
And just so easy for them to, not everybody, but people think it's so easy to get pregnant because it's not.
A
And then they
hundred
have
percent it's not.
these people who are just popping out babies and getting, just being assholes.
And just treating the privilege as complete shit.
Mm-hmm.
And taking for ugh, yeah. That's
Taking,
like a
yeah,
whole
yeah.
nother episode you can go on about how upsetting that is.
It's so upsetting to me that just these assholes can have babies so easily. And then there's people who deserve to be parents and mothers and everything. And it just, some of them
Like they
can't.
would literally give their left leg to be able to give a little baby a good life. And these people are just
Just, well, I guess that
yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Luckily, Taylor's grandparents, who live in Texas, were granted custody of their son.
Oh good. Oh,
Yeah, so he's quite young that
you didn't have to live in that house anymore.
So this is who Shad was hanging out with. That's the backstory of his friend
Discuss.
that he was hanging out with at his mom's house. And they're the same age at this point because Shad was 24 and she was 25. So
Okay.
and they met, like I said, when they were both in grade 4.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone knows this at this point. Everyone knows this is the last person that saw Shad. This is the last person he hung out with. So police officers are like, we need to find this crazy bitch and ask her
Yeah.
what the fuck happened here, Taylor. And it was actually pretty easy to find her.
Because she's a dummy.
Yeah. Officers went to Taylor's last known address, which was only 15 minutes away. As soon as they arrived, they noticed Taylor's minivan parked out front. They also noticed blood in the snow surrounding the minivan, bloody footprints leading from Taylor's minivan to the front door. As officers are making this discovery, Taylor comes walking out the front door.
It sounds like she doesn't even know what's going on. Like she had a complete break from reality. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but from thus far, the chaotic, weird scene at the house. And then she just gets out of her van and leaves this big trail.
Or she's just on a ton of fucking drugs.
Or, yeah. And you don't even know what's real, is what this sounds like. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Both police and Taylor are shocked to see each other. But they're like, wow, that was convenient.
Yeah. They're like,
Oh, here you are. They're thinking that they have to, take this chick down. She's super dangerous. They're
yeah.
not sure what they're going to walk into. But yeah, she just walks out her front door casually. And so they start talking to her, kind of asking her some questions. They noticed that she was absolutely covered in blood.
My question was gonna be, what was the state of her?
Yep, she was covered in blood all
Oh
over
my
her
God, that's so
hand.
scary.
She had a black hoodie on and black sweatpants, and they didn't notice at first when they were talking to her. And they're like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And she's like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And kind of, "Do you know why we're here?" And they didn't even notice until they started talking to her that they started saying, "Oh, her black hoodie was covered in blood, her sweatpants were
Oh,
covered in blood." They began to investigate her minivan, where they found more human remains and blood.
what fuck is
They
this?
they find a crock pot box containing parts of lower limbs, so legs. Right?
Oh my God.
Just in her van, she's
He
got
seems
legs in a
so
box.
erratic.
It's almost not real.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Oh
they
my God.
apprehend her, obviously, at this point. I read somewhere too that she had cut her ankle bracelet off. They apprehend her at this point and bring her into the station for questioning. When they bring her in for questioning, they notice that her hands and arms are covered in scratches and she had a large cut on her thumb, but she told them that it was self-inflicted.
Okay.
Detectives are like, the fuck? So they get straight to the point and ask her, what the fuck happened to Shad? Because they're kind of over her bullshit.
At this point, they don't even fucking care. They just want.
Yeah,
They don't even want
they
to
want
listen to her back and forth.
no, and they're not, trying to, how some officers have to play bad cop, good cop, or try to get things out of
Yeah.
people. They were just straight up, what the fuck happened here?
Right.
And this bitch goes, that's a good question.
Oh,
That's what she says to them.
okay.
Then she goes on to tell them that she had blacked out after her and Shad had spent the evening smoking weed and meth at a different friend's apartment. After that, Taylor said that they crushed up trazodone and injected it.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what that is, but I'm
So
obviously can't be good.
trazodone is an antidepressant.
They're injecting it? What does that do? Did
Yeah,
it say? Like
I
if
don't
they're
know.
that's what?
I don't know.
Okay.
So they smoked a bunch of weed and meth and then
Mm-hmm.
injected an antidepressant. So I don't know why. I
Okay.
don't know. Listeners, tell us if you know if trazodone
Yeah,
does something if you inject it.
yeah, that would be nice to
Because
not nice to know for personal reasons, but I'm just
but it,
curious why that would I don't know why that would be a thing.
yeah, so I don't know. It was a bizarre
Yeah.
cocktail. Then the two of them went to Shad's mom's house where they hung out in the basement. As soon as they got there, she said that they started having kinky sex and putting choke chains around their necks compared to a dog choke collar. Do you
Okay,
know?
but she's married right now. Okay.
Hmm. But yeah, but apparently they did this often. Like I was saying how
Mhm.
they kind of had an on again, off again sexual
Yeah.
relationship, but apparently they would use different toys and stuff on each other and they had
Mhm.
different things. So yeah, so they put choke chains around each other's necks. As Shad was laying face down on the bed, Taylor said she got on top of him and began choking him from behind until his face turned purple and blood began seeping from his mouth.
What?
Hmm.
What was she choking him with it? The collar?
Yeah, the choke chain. So, do you know what a dog choke
Yeah,
collar
like
is?
those silver choke chains.
Yeah, and so it gets
Oh fuck.
tighter if they
Mhm.
try. They're supposed to be training collars, right? So if they try
Mhm.
and get further away, it chokes them up,
And she's just okay.
choking him with that. She claimed to have blacked out during the attack and coming in and out of consciousness. When the detectives asked about why Shad's head was in the bucket, she just says, "Yeah, that's pretty fucked up."
Excuse.
Quote.
Okay.
She said she blacked out, but however, she's a lying piece of shit because
Yeah.
she tells them she was curious to see what would happen if she kept going and didn't stop until she knew he was dead.
What would happen? He'd be
Yeah.
dead, you dummy.
Well, which we know from episode 9 takes at least 4 minutes. So she was for 4 minutes with the choke chain, watching his face turn purple
Mhm.
and blood
She got a
spewing from
thrill
his.
from it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She said that she could feel his heart beating, so she kept pulling and choking him harder, claiming that he would not die as he just kept, quote, rebuilding into muscle.
What?
I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming his neck was, I don't know, well, adrenaline, right? He was probably
Oh, yeah.
fighting for his life.
Mhm.
Oh.
Wow.
During this shocking confession, she asked detectives, "Do you know what it's like to love something so much that you kill it?"
Oh,
This is all on tape.
no, bitch, I don't.
Right? And then what is even more horrifying is that Taylor admits to sexually assaulting Shad's lifeless body for hours after murdering him.
What are you talking about? What?
I will let you know because it's fucking disgusting and that's what I'm here for.
What?
Spending the entire day defiling his body. She described how she had sexual contact with the body in terms of playing with his penis and even tried to have sex with him. I read that, I guess, right after he was dead, he still kind of had a half chub and then she had sex with it. And she
That doesn't work.
also, no, I know, right? I'm sorry. I know I'm telling you such a horrible case that you just don't even know what to say.
I had no idea it was this horrific.
It's horrific. I know. That's why I was like, I need a break after this one. Not a break from our podcast, but a break of doing
Yeah, dark
so
ones. Yeah.
yeah. So
I don't even have words for how psychotic she took this.
she also described that she sucked Shad's penis.
And he's dead?
But wait, she sucked his penis and had a dildo that she put in his mouth and then into his anus. She,
What the
as,
fuck?
yeah, I know, right? Like,
And
there's
he's
no
just died. And she's just ugh.
disgusting. She is a fucking disgusting monster. As she was dismembering his body, Taylor said, quote, "I was sucking and cutting at the same time. I liked it. I liked it."
Oh my god.
She
I did
said,
not see that coming.
no, no, right? It's just so it seems unreal. It's like
This doesn't seem like it's like a real thing.
so she said his head was the first thing I took off, saying she was very excited about abusing his corpse. After cutting his head off, she cuddled the body.
Without a head.
Yeah.
And she must have been doing that to his dick when there was no head on too. If she said that
She
the
cut it
first
off
thing
too.
she took off was the head.
And then most likely the penis next. I will let you know that this was all done post-mortem. So she choked him to death and then any dismemberment. So he wasn't alive when she cut his penis off. He wasn't alive when she started cutting him up. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
She cuddled his body after cutting his head off. You can see her laughing at various points throughout the interrogation video, which is fucking disgusting. And the reason there wasn't as much blood in the basement, because she did all this in the basement. So the reason that there wasn't as much blood as there should have been was Taylor had used that bucket that Shad's head was in to collect his blood and she then poured it down the shower drain. So she was
Oh my god.
thinking, right? She was using her head. I mean, because
I get what you're saying.
She wasn't insane. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
She was
She had
collecting
a wherewithal to get rid of some evidence.
Yes. According to Taylor, she had planned to bring all Shad's body parts with her. However, she said she would nod off occasionally and got lazy, so she only brought the legs to her minivan.
What the fuck?
Then blurted out, "Damn the head. I can't believe I left the head though." She then told officers they were going to have fun trying to find all the organs as she dismembered the body. Basically was saying how she was trying to make it a sick game for officers to try and find all of his bodies.
Which is why they would just randomly be finding all this all over the place. I'm literally speechless.
It's so fucking dark.
Because it's so fucked, yeah.
Everything Taylor was relaying to the detectives about what had happened was consistent with the evidence authorities already found, so they knew she wasn't lying. She's just fucking crazy. Given her mental health background, that we talked about earlier, Taylor's attorney, Quinn Jolly, submitted a plea of not guilty by reasons of insanity. Now, in the courtroom on February 14th, on Valentine's Day of 2023, Jolly asked that Taylor's trial be pushed back so that they could determine whether or not she was competent to stand trial. This is when Taylor became completely unhinged and started attacking her own lawyer.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and it's all on tape. You can see it all online.
I'm gonna have to look.
He began to shield himself, and she was tackled to the ground by court officers until she calmed down, and took her a bit to calm down. It was
Holy shit.
wild. After that, Quinn Jolly was granted his request to withdraw from the case.
Okay, good. I'm happy. He's like, fuck
Yeah,
you, bitch. Rot.
The judge said the attorney-client relationship was irretrievably broken.
I'd say.
I'd
be like, hey, just so you know, you can fucking rot in hell, and also I'm gonna be at your sentencing just to watch.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, she just attacked her lawyer.
Yeah.
Anyway, she got a new lawyer, Christopher Frillick, and that began her 3-day trial in July of 2023. It became immediately clear that Taylor did not have any defense at all.
Yeah, I haven't heard one thing about, like, if there was an argument that happened or drama happening behind the scenes between her and her husband and him, or there's been nothing of that sort.
Yeah, the only thing is insanity, but then as we mentioned earlier, she had the wherewithal, like you said, to get a bucket, collect his blood. She knew what she was doing.
Right.
They also went through her phone and checked her Google searches leading up to this horrific attack. You know what, though? If anybody checked my Google searches.
Yeah, but you also didn't fucking we're not looking after. This chick has did this horrible thing, and they're like, let's just look at her fucking phone.
Yeah, let's just see what she's looking at. Yeah.
I can only imagine.
I can let you know. She was obsessed with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, for fuck.
There were so many searches for Jeffrey Dahmer. She tried to Photoshop a picture of her and Jeffrey Dahmer taking a selfie together.
What?
She was obsessed with him on an unhealthy level. I understand being interested in Jeffrey Dahmer, wanting to study his...
Like the psychology behind.
Yes. And obviously you and I have been interested in Jeffrey Dahmer, but we're not wanting to take selfies with this guy.
Yeah, like I don't want to fucking meet him.
And I think she was kind of sexually attracted to him too, because one of her searches was Jeffrey Dahmer walking into a courtroom all sexy like.
Shut up.
I'm not kidding.
Oh God.
So gross.
Yeah, that's the headline of the newspaper that day.
Yuck. There were also searches for cadaver definitions. I was at the gym today and my water bottle fell, and it fell on top of my straw, and my straw broke, and I think I may or may not have swallowed some plastic, and now my throat really hurt.
Oh, fuck.
But okay, so anyways, cadaver definitions, a blow-up dolls with custom faces.
See, and when you were telling me about this, what she was doing to his body, I started to think, ew, it's like those dolls that some men can get and they use it as their personal sex doll. So the fact that I thought that, and she was Googling things like that, and cadaver and things like that, what the fuck was this chick trying to do? Because remember, Jeffrey Dahmer was trying to make living zombies in a way, so he could control every aspect of them.
Oh, so gross. That's so creepy. I didn't even think about that.
That is really terrifying.
She also Googled flaming pentagrams and KKK, things of that nature. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she was Googling that kind of stuff. And I mean, I've Googled some questionable things too, but I'm not out there, like you said.
Yeah, very different. That whole connection to the doll and the cadavers and stuff in Jeffrey Dahmer is very freaky. It's like she wanted to, I don't even know.
Yeah, she was obsessed with him.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the trial, Taylor appeared bored at times, staring at her hands or furrowing her eyebrows. She even sometimes laughed or smiled. At one point, they had put a spit hood on her because she wouldn't stop spitting.
Excuse me?
Yeah, she appeared one time in court with a spit hood on. She's gross.
Oh my god.
This is fucked up, but at one point they brought in Taylor's child diddling father as a character witness. He showed up in his prison suit because he
Oh
is
yeah.
in prison still. But I think that just hurt her case
I
more. I
mean,
think
it
it just made
makes
it worse.
sense.
All he did was talk about how Taylor did all these drugs after having a baby. He was like, oh yeah, she was always doing
I don't even
meth.
know why they would do that. I mean, I'm happy
Yeah.
they did, but that's
But he was supposed to be a character witness as like a, you know,
yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting that they brought him in because I can't see any reason why that would help.
No, I don't think it did at all. In the end, the closing argument by the prosecution said this was a deliberate choice on her part to kill Shad, and she knew what she was doing. So basically, no insanity defense was going to work here. She knew right from wrong at the time. She knew what she was doing, and she knew it was wrong, and she liked it. On July 26, 2023, a jury deliberated for just over 30 minutes.
I mean,
That's all it took.
I'm surprised it didn't take fucking 5.
30 seconds.
Yeah, guilty.
Huh? Hold on. I think I have a piece of pasta.
Jesus.
Okay.
Just starts
Yeah, I'm almost
choking.
done. I'll take care of that. Okay, so and I might have to go to the hospital. No. So yeah, they deliberated for just over 30 days and found Taylor guilty of first degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third degree sexual assault. And then I just wanted to say a few things. Shad's uncle, Kelly, spoke at length without any notes. He just got up there and you've got to hear what he has to say. He
Yeah.
said, I'm sure you knew you had a problem. You can't blame childhood. There's help out there. If you took the path to get help, you wouldn't be in this situation. None of us would be. For you to take the cowardly path and make other people suffer because we're suffering is pretty shitty. That's a good name for you. Shit business. I'm not shit bit. That's what they call her. Shit business. I'm not a praying man, but after Judge Walsh sentenced you today, I will pray that you meet the same fate as your idol, Jeffrey Dahmer. So have a great life, shit business.
Oh, I love that. That's good. Exactly. He gets like beat to shit, his head caved in jail. Works for me.
Yeah, exactly. But Shad's father was actually had something. He spoke in length, and I just kind of will just share a little bit of what he said,
Yeah.
which kind of just goes to show what kind of family Shad came from. Because Shad's father said, Taylor, I just want to say that I forgive you for what you've done to my son. And yeah, he made a bad choice, and now you have to live with it. But I'm gonna miss Shad. He was a wonderful child too, growing up with mild manners and just happy and I know you made a bad choice and like I said, I forgive you. And I'm gonna ask the judge if you can see the streets again someday. It may not be soon, but I believe everybody makes bad choices. It does no good for me to hate you. I wish you no harm. And there was quite a bit more in there, but that was kind of just summarized of what he said. And it goes to show just what a, loving family they are. That takes so much.
That I can't even wrap my head around how he said that. I mean, they are obviously not hateful people.
No.
And Chad was just going through a rough time, and this person decided.
Isn't that awful?
And a person that he trusted since 4th grade, which is just disgusting.
Yeah, they knew. Well, another part of Shad's father's statement was also saying in the beginning how he knew Taylor too, and
Yeah,
because
that's
they
rough.
knew her. They knew her
Yeah.
from when they were little, and
You'd
so
never think a friend that your grade 4 is playing with will one day fucking
do this.
murder and dismember your child in your own house.
Disgusting.
That's incomprehensible.
Yeah, and on December 26th, Taylor was sentenced to life without the possibility of extended supervision. which is similar to parole, except she has to serve her full sentence before any parole is granted, whereas parole happens instead of serving a full sentence. Does that make sense?
Okay, good. So she's in prison for life.
Yes, so she is in prison for life. There's no chance of her
Mm-hmm.
getting any parole. Also, the judge suggested Taylor get her mental health treatment. I wanted to add, after this murder, the family not only had to deal with the loss of a loved one, the financial burden that accompanies such grief also took a huge toll on them. And they started a GoFundMe, which I found.
Okay.
And we will share in the show notes. And yeah, so there's a GoFundMe for Shad, and it's living funeral expenses for Tara.
This is quite recent still.
So it's only been, I mean, she was only sentenced in 2023, so yeah, it's only been a couple of years. The GoFundMe is still active, and I found the link to it. We will share that in the show notes.
Yeah, that is fucking absurd.
Well, should we tell people where they can find us?
Yes, on Instagram. Check out our Instagram. We'll have some photos and everything of this case that we just did. Dark Narrative Podcast. Also, Dark Narrative Podcast on TikTok.
And you can email us at darknarrativespodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to rate us if you like us.
Yes. Yeah, and also you can comment on any of our episodes or just anything. And also you can email us any suggestions of any cases that you want to hear us cover or
us.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
And that's it for this week.
Remember, it's a dark world out there.
See you creatures next week.